welcome to another episode of Paranormal Ghost Radio. I'm your host, Jeremiah, and of course you already know the other host, Gary, from the Forward Paranormal Society, and me from Investigators of the Unknown. Today's episode, we have something very special for you. We actually have our first guest here to talk to you a little bit about herself and some of her experiences. Her name is Amy Jo. She is a paranormal investigator from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, hello, Amy, are you there?
I'm here.
Hi, Amy. So, Amy,
hello.
If you don't mind me asking, but can you maybe let a little bit of the people out there that are listening know a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you as a person?
Yes, I am Amy Jo, and I love to investigate. I also love to sing. I am a happy person, and I love children. I think a lot of children spirits kind of are attracted to me. And I'm from Fort Wayne. That's about all.
Wow. Now, is it all right for me also too to let the fans and the people who are listening or will be listening to this show know? Because I've seen from a lot of your photos that you seem to wear a tutu a lot on your investigations, which I think is actually pretty neat and pretty cool. So I mean, it's something different. I mean, what got you into doing something so unique and different like that? If it's all right with me asking you that.
It sure is. The truth is that sometimes I go on investigations and there's not, access to a bathroom. So it's a lot easier to pull down your pants with a tutu on. Because then nobody can see your bottom.
We should wear tutus on our investigations.
I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I mean, plus it's cute and I enjoy wearing them.
Hey, why not?
Hey, no, like I said, I think it's so unique and different because I've just never seen that in any other groups or anything, or teams. Now, you're on a group, am I right?
I'm just on my own now. I'm a floater.
Oh, all right.
I float from different groups.
All right.
Sometimes just float to my own.
All right. So in other words, you're also what's known as a freelancer, which is the same thing. You basically you stay mutual and you go out there. You're very involved in the para community and unity, and you'll work with other groups and teams, investigators, psychics, etc., who might need your help.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I've been doing. I mean, my home team is Forward Paranormal Society, but I like to also work with, with other groups as well. And, I like to work with as many different people as possible. I don't like to just stick to one particular area.
All right, but yes, as a lot of people also already know out there in the internet world, as well as Gary here and you who I'm speaking to, is that, I also freelance a little on the side too. I help out sometimes a good friend of mine who's a very nice, wonderful, and very respectful man, very highly respected also in the paranormal field, Mr. Carl Johnson. Every once in a while he invites me and my team out to do help him and his brother with a public ghost tour over at the Slater Mill in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Keith.
And he's also a very nice, wonderful man too. But I'm also, as everyone here also knows, is that I'm also in the study of demonology under Father Ed Broderick, who's also another wonderful, very respected man, and a very good friend. He's like family to me. But besides that, this show is really more about you, so I would like to get back on the subject of you. But if you don't mind me asking, but what really got your start in the paranormal, and what kind of experiences did you have? Did they start when you were a kid, or was it more later on in life?
Yes, I didn't have any paranormal experiences as a child, none at all. I was pretty much a non-believer, and then one night I was driving home, and it was pouring rain outside, and I was driving past a cemetery, and I looked to the side of the road, and there's this woman with long white hair standing on the side of the road, And there's nothing crazy about that except the fact that her hair was blowing in the wind. And if it's pouring rain, you tell me how her hair can be blowing in the wind. Like just long white hair blowing. I mean, it freaked me out. I pretty much knew I had just seen a ghost. And that really spiked my interest. That's the very first, and then that was probably 5 years ago.
Wow. So I mean,
Yeah.
right after that, that's pretty much like when you like began like working in the field and stuff, and doing like the study and research about the different types of hauntings and stuff.
Yes, and I found out that many people in my hometown had actually seen the same thing on the side of the road near that cemetery. I wasn't the only person. And then I got an opportunity to go on a group ghost hunt with some people where I sing, and that's all it took, one hunt, and I was hooked. I wanted to keep on doing it, and the experiences that I had that night, I just couldn't wait to go on the next one.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, I've had experiences myself as a child, a teen, and even now as an adult. But out of all the experiences that I've had, I still try to remain skeptical. And
Oh, yeah.
and I know Gary here. He's also had some experiences himself too.
Yeah, my whole life, since childhood. And it's, it's, I can't explain it, but it seems like it's always followed me around, and my whole life has been nothing but one paranormal experience after another. One of my experiences was when we lived in a farmhouse, and my dog got thrown down a flight of stairs where there's nobody up there. Something knocked on a second floor window where me and my cousin was upstairs playing with toys, and we saw a hand reach up on a second floor window and bang on the window. And we couldn't explain it, nobody with a ladder or anything. I mean, it's just constant. I mean, I've been going through this my whole life. And then I started forming Annex, and it was me and a friend of mine started it off, me and my friend Robin, and then we got Jerry on board, and from Jerry we just added a team, and the rest is history. And now here I am, I worked with Jerry's old team, EMPI, for a while. We're co-founders, and he formed his team, and I helped us initiate the team I'm on now, and to be safe. I mean, the rest is history, and here we are now. So
Now, if you don't mind me asking, Amy, but as like a paranormal investigator, I find, especially around in my area, the more common hauntings that I actually run into are more of residual and intelligent, but also to a lot of other paranormal investigators I speak to, whether if it's on the phone or through Facebook and stuff, is that they tell me that they experience a lot of the same type of hauntings themselves. Would you say that those are like maybe the two types that you normally run into a lot around where you're from?
Yes. My specialty is the ghost boxes. I just got actually last Christmas. But since I actually found a frequency that works and I can speak to them, they answer my questions. When they have something to say, you can hear them clear as day.
Now, when you say you've learned a frequency to like speak to them, are you talking like about the ghost box, also known as Frank or ghost box?
Yes, that's what I call it.
Because that's also what I use a lot too, and I've gotten
I do too.
I've gotten a lot of stuff on it. I use the SP7.
Yes, that's what I use too.
What I used for Ghost Box was, it's a homemade one. I saw on YouTube how to make it. What I did, I bought a transistor digital radio, and I hacked it. It's more like a hack box, and what it does is continuously changes frequencies really fast, and that's, either AM or FM, whichever works best at the time. That's what I would use. Sometimes I use AM frequency, sometimes FM frequency, and I could usually pick up stuff on that.
Well, with the ghost box, what most people don't realize is that, like Gary says, it scans through radio frequencies, but it scans through about 13 stations within a half a second each.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stay on any one station long,
No.
which is why you get all that white noise. And the reason why a lot of people believe in using the ghost box is because it's stated that spirits speak in a white noise form, and only very few people can really hear them, and the ones who can are normally the ones known as mediums, or of course, people who are clairvoyant are those who can see the spirit. But that's also why we use EVPs and stuff, because an EVP records in a white noise form, so which is why when we play the EVPs back later, which is an electronic voice phenomena, is why we're able to sometimes pick up these little snippets of voices that we sometimes can make out clear as day, and when we can, especially if we get a whole sentence, which is very rare, but when do, it's known as a Class A. And sometimes you can get the same thing through a spirit box, but just because you record a spirit box section doesn't make it an EVP. Would you agree with that, Amy?
Yes, absolutely. It's completely different. But I do want to say something to you about the recorders. We did an experiment when I recently went to the Stanley Hotel, and we took a recorder and we said, "Welcome to the Stanley Hotel." And then we took another recorder that had no batteries and said, "Welcome to the Stanley Hotel." And do you know that the second recorder picked it up with no batteries?
Oh, wow.
When we put batteries in it, turned it on, it picked it up clearer, so we could hear it better than we could hear the one with batteries.
Wow.
If that doesn't make you think, you need to try that experiment sometime, because that was really neat. That makes you think, like, how is that possible? How is it possible that the recorder with no batteries is picking up what you're saying? We wonder if somehow the two recorders are speaking to each other. It was very, very strange.
Well,
And my head scratching.
Well, I know it is said that in the paranormal field that obviously spirits need energy to manifest, which is why a lot of times on investigations, a lot of the equipments that we use, the batteries, the usage of them drain very quickly, or a lot of times some people will tend to feel a little lightheaded and weak, especially in areas that are no open wires or anything, and it's mainly probably because of the energy that's around there might be drawing from them, because what people have to realize, especially those who want to come into this field or are in this field, is that we humans are the biggest batteries for these entities.
Yes.
But also another thing a lot of people need to realize is that, just because they see it on TV doesn't mean that they can just go out and try it, because you really got to do your study, you really got to know what you're doing, and understand what's out there, because what a lot of people don't realize, not all, but actually I shouldn't really say a lot, but what not all people realize is that all we really have to go on as paranormal investigators are just claims and stories that we're able to read up on like Google, or maybe videos that we might have saw up on YouTube or something. But again, that's really all we have to go on, is just the facts from the people.
I agree.
So I mean, if you don't mind me asking, but out of your whole time investigating the paranormal and with researching it and everything, would you say that you've ever gotten like startled, or maybe anything that might have like really scared you?
The most scared I've ever been was last Christmas. I'm headed to Willow's Leap right now, which is the place I was most scared at. Yes. We had not got anything for the first 4 hours, and then we re-enter the house after we take a break, and I don't know if we startled the entity or what happened, but basically I was charged. From clear across the room, I could hear the steps run right at me. I even caught them on my recorder. Scared the crap out of me.
Wow.
Yeah, because I could hear them coming from clear across the room and get closer and stopped right in front of me. And then the ghost box said enter right after that. And I ended up taking home a spirit.
Now, is this
It was the scariest time of my life.
Now,
Absolutely.
is this the same spirit that you once told me about on Facebook, and I called you and gave you and your team, I prayed for you over the phone before you went there? Is this the same place that you had me pray for you for?
I think so, yes.
All right.
But that was last spring. Nothing like that happened to us last spring. I'm talking about last Christmas. Yeah, so this is the same place. We are headed back there now, actually.
All right. Yeah, because I know, like I said, I know you asked if I could, pray for you over the phone before you went, and of course, as a demonologist. But even if I wasn't a demonologist, I would still, as a Christian, I would still, pray with the person or for them or with them on any situation. I would never deny anyone God. But at the same time, I also remember too. I think I sent you a bracelet and some holy water that you could always use at times when needed, going to certain places like you said that you're going back to tonight.
Yes, that.
Yeah, I know. Me and Jerry had a lot of rough investigations in the past. We're in the basement of the Lizzie Borden house, the murder house, and Jerry was in one room, I was in another room. And I'm asking questions for EVP, and I'm holding a flashlight, and Jerry's yelling in the next room. I says, "Who are you talking to?" He says, "Some lady came down here." I says, "There's nobody down here but us." And we were talking back and forth, and from him in one room, me in another. I was sitting in a chair, and the chair lifted up in the air, threw me out of the chair. I went flying, and I saw my flashlight zoom across the room, and I'm like, hand and feet, because I just, got thrown out of a chair, and it was crazy. And what was that you said, Jerry? The woman says her name was.
Yeah, but like Gary was just saying, right around the same time as he felt something approach him in the chair at the Lizzie Borden house, I saw a woman approach me and whisper in my ear the name Sarah, and even I was just saying, but even then I still try to remain skeptical on it, just as I would today. And when we got upstairs, I asked the tour guide for that night, since we slept over, so it was on a weekend, for the bed and breakfast, and they gave us permission to still conduct an investigation. If there was ever anyone by the name Sarah affiliated with the house. And then that's when they turned around and said, actually, yes, Sarah was the biological mother of Lizzie and Emma Borden.
Isn't that a trip?
Okay, that's crazy right there.
And I never knew that. Out of all the research I've ever done on the Lizzie Borden house and everything, I never knew that, nor did I ever know that there was actually another sibling between Emma and Lizzie that died at a very young age.
Alice.
Yes, I believe that's what her name was.
She died as a year old. I think she was a year old when she passed on.
Now, have you ever had anything ever approach you in such a way, or?
Not like that, no.
All right. What's the most famous locations that you have investigated so far? You did mention the Stanley House.
I think that was probably the most famous one I've been to, the Stanley Hotel.
Now, if you
guys, let me just tell you something really funny really quick, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
When I was at the Stanley Hotel, I was telling the tour guide about my ghost box and how I get things, and he was like, okay, well, there's this spirit named Ed that always haunts people on this top floor in the concert hall. And I was like, okay. I said, well, let me put on my ghost, I put on headphones. I actually put headphones on because I can hear better. And I put them on, and I said, let me see if I get anything. And the very first thing that I got was Call Me Ted.
Wow.
And I said, excuse me, but how long have you been doing tours? And are there any other spirits up here? He was the only one we've ever got. It is Ed, and he's been here for 7 years that I know of. And I said, well, he just said, call me Ted. That's what I got, was call me Ted. And he said, oh my gosh, could I have been missing the T the whole time? And his name is Ted and not Ed?
Wow.
That was very interesting. But he didn't say one other thing the whole time we were on that top floor. Not one other thing did this ghost box say, but call me Ted as soon as I put those headphones on.
Wow.
Well, I could see how
And
the
then so
names.
for the rest of the night, he would say, Ed or Ted.
Well, I could see
Because
how
he wasn't sure.
the names could be a little confusing. So if you think about it, Ted, Ed, it kind of rhymes. You're just putting a T
But
in
if
front
he,
of Ed.
but
You
if
could call me
he
Ed, you
called,
could call me Ted, you could call me Ed.
exactly, but if you're calling him Ed for 7 years, can you imagine how ticked off he was by the time I came?
Yeah. Oh my Lord.
If you don't mind me asking, Amy, but I also saw on Facebook how you investigated a prison a couple of times. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about like that place and the history of it? And
That was my very first hunt ever. It was at Ohio State Reformatory.
Wow.
We've been there 3 times. It's where Shawshank Redemption was filmed.
Yep.
Amazing place. I cannot wait to go back. I'm actually going back this next year in the spring. But that is it's one of my favorite places, yes.
Now, would you say that it's very active, like they've shown in some of the shows on TV, or even the ones that are up on the internet, such as YouTube? Or would you say it's not like as scary as they make it be?
No, it's very scary. One of the things that happened there that I've never seen since happen is we are standing in the hallway, with not me personally, but we were with a group, and they took a picture of a person down the hallway. There was a black mass at the very bottom of the jail cell, and you could see through him through the picture and see the exit sign.
So it
almost
was.
like he wasn't even there, but when they took the picture, he was standing there.
So
I've
you're
never
saying
seen
that
anything like that since.
So you're saying that this spirit or entity of sorts was like transparent?
So what I think is that spirit didn't want him to be photographed. Because you could see right through the person. There's no way you could possibly see the exit sign if you were taking the picture of somebody that's standing in front of the exit sign. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so then you're saying that the spirit was transparent, which means you were able to see through it.
But it was a person that we were taking a picture of, not a spirit.
Oh, a person. Oh,
You see
all
what
right.
I'm
I'm
saying?
sorry. Yeah, I just misunderstood you. Now,
Yeah,
would-
it was a person that was being photographed, and in the picture you could actually see a black mask down at the bottom of the jail cell.
Wow.
So we're thinking that maybe that black mask didn't want him to be photographed at that moment. It's the only thing I can think of. Of course, I don't know for sure, but that was crazy, and I've never seen anything like that any other place since. They were all going crazy over it because it just didn't make any sense that you're taking a picture of somebody and they're not there in the photograph.
Yeah, I would take that as a dark entity trying to manifest itself.
well, there's always that possibility, but actually with Gary's saying that now, would you say that, like I know on some of these paranormal shows, whether if it's throughout the internet or on TV, a lot of them claim that there are dark entities, which we here would call like demonic spirits or beings, which are really fallen angels from heaven. Would you say that there's any of that there?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, no. I can't be for sure, so I wouldn't say that.
Now, I know, speaking of that, if you don't mind me going back to the Willow's Leap, which you mentioned about earlier, and you said that you were going back there for an investigation tonight, I believe you said it was. Now, you said that you had something follow you home. Now, would you say what's there might be of a dark entity of sorts, or would you say it's maybe more of an angry type spirit and not really anything like dark, meaning like demonic?
Right, I would say because of the first 3 experiences that it was just angry. Because the first 3 experiences, it definitely let us know we were there, but it didn't hurt us. It didn't, I just think maybe it had a message because the very first 3 experiences were scary, but yet we didn't feel threatened. This last time that I was there last Christmas, I felt very threatened. It came home with me, it scared me, it woke me up in the middle of the night. I felt burning matches at the middle of the night. I thought the house was on fire. So yeah, I would say I would say for sure a very unhappy spirit, but I cannot say that it's dark as far as demonic or anything like that. No. But it's definitely the most scared I've ever been.
Now, what I find fascinating in about the paranormal is all the different theories and opinions that are out there that everyone has about these certain types of hauntings or entities that are out there, whether they be, residual intelligent, poltergeist, or demonic, which a poltergeist, like I've mentioned in the last episode, is a German word for noisy spirit. Polter, which is noisy, and ice, which is spirit. And a poltergeist is created by, it's known to be created by the natural energy that we put out somehow. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the paranormal isn't just about spirits. The definition for paranormal is anything that can't be explained. So anything above normal is paranormal, but also anything that you can't really recreate is also considered paranormal because you can't recreate it and you don't have an explanation for it. But the paranormal also consists of like UFOs and Bigfoots. That's also part of the paranormal because it can't be explained. But many people have the experiences of seeing a Bigfoot or a UFO just as people do with spirits and ghosts. Now, if you don't mind me asking, with that said, do you also believe in that part of the paranormal where there might be other life like extraterrestrials such as UFOs or Bigfoot?
Absolutely. You know what I think about Bigfoot? I think that they're interdimensional. That's what I think.
Now, have you ever been
from
on
dimension to dimension, and those trolls too. I believe in trolls.
Well, trolls are considered as paranormal spirits. They're actually considered as element spirits. They're part of the elements, which are spirits of nature, which will consist of, like you said, trolls, goblins, ghouls, brownies, pixies, fairies. Those are all under element spirits. And actually, real quick, if anyone wants to know more about element spirits, you can just Google it on the internet, or if you like, just go to my team's website, investigators.theunknown.com, and I actually have a page underneath. I think it's different types of hauntings, page 2, where it talks about the element spirits and some of the hauntings that we've been talking about recently from the first show with Amy Joe here.
That type of paranormal where, with the Bigfoot and things like that, or cryptology.
It's under cryptology.
Cryptology, okay.
Yes, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I just think they're interdimensional because I know some people that have actually interviewed people that have seen Bigfoot disappear right in front of their face. Like, they'll see them, and then they're gone, just like that, like they're zapped away. Two people that don't know each other being interviewed by the same person have the same exact story. And that would make sense. I think that's why we can't actually find them, because they can zap from dimension to dimension. That's just my opinion.
Well, I never thought of that.
And I also think trolls are interdimensional too. I know one that lives at a jail.
Yeah, Amy, I'd like to ask you a question. What's your opinion on Ouija boards? Because I've been telling people for years not to mess with them, especially if they don't know what they're doing, because you could open up the wrong doors. I had a bad experience with Ouija boards in the past, and I learned a lot being a paranormal investigator, and I learned a lot about Ouija boards. What was your opinion on them?
I think that if you're going to use a Ouija board, it's the same exact thing as using a ghost box. I don't think there's going to be a difference. That's my opinion. So if you're going to down the Ouija board, on the same note, I will tell you, personally, after using the Ouija board once, it didn't do anything for me. I'm not interested in it, and I don't really want to mess with it. Because when things started waking me up in the middle of the night, I'm not really trying to bring anything home with me.
Right.
So that's just my feeling. But I do think that it's the same thing. Like using the ghost box to communicate, it's pretty much the same thing as using the Ouija board. I just personally don't have any interest in it.
Well, you feel the same way I do.
Well, my opinion is whether if someone knows how to properly open one or not, they shouldn't use it. And I also feel that people shouldn't mess with tarot cards either, because tarot cards can still open a lot of the same doors and everything. From what I've also learned by my mentor and teacher, Pastor Ed Broderick, who's my mentor and teacher again in demonology. He's the one who I study under, because my opinion is that anyone who's going to go into the field, especially the field of demonology, should have a strong mentor and someone that can really guide them and teach them in the right way on about these beings.
Yeah, people should absolutely do a more background check on the Ouija board before even considering buying one. They should get as much information as possible so they know what they're dealing with.
Are you still there, Amy?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, what I just said, would you agree with me, especially when it comes to like the demonology part of the paranormal, is that anyone going into the demonology and wanting to become a demonologist should have a strong mentor and teacher, such as like I just mentioned that I have, and I mention a lot in a lot of the videos that I do, is Pastor Ed Broderick. He's my mentor and teacher. He's the one that I study under for demonology.
Yes, absolutely.
Because my thing is too is that I also feel that it also helps a lot, not just as a demonologist but as a paranormal investigator, is that if you have a strong religion or a faith such as Christianity, which Christianity is a faith, not a religion, that you can fall back on. It's very good and it helps you because it helps keep you protected. Would you agree with that, Amy?
I would agree, yes.
Now, see, if I'll admit to a lot of the people that might be listening to this, is that I do pray on a lot of my investigations before I go to them. And even in the past when Gary and I would work together, we used to pray all the time before and after.
I try to encourage my team to do that all the time.
And I mean, there are a lot of teams out there that do it, but there's also a lot of teams who don't. But I mean, it's also all up to the leader and the team.
The
decision themselves, yeah. If someone didn't want to do it that was on my team, I wouldn't force them into it. I would just tell them, all right, but just still be careful. If you don't mind me asking, but do you ever do anything like that for protection of yourself when you go on investigations?
Yes.
Wow.
I recently started. At first, I didn't really, because I'd never had anything dark follow me home, so I pretty much just didn't do anything to protect myself. But after last Christmas, absolutely.
See, I can't ever really say I've ever had anything follow me home, because I never have. I mean, the first thing I always do on any investigation is I always do a departure. I always, I do a prayer before, and I also do a prayer after. But the other thing I also say, too, is that any entities that are here, you are to remain here and not follow me. You are not welcome. This is your place. We only came here to learn, and we came here out of respect, not disrespect. So out of respect of me saying that, please respect my wishes and remain here. And I find that I never have anything that ever follows me home. So, I would just like to say, it's about that time now where we've got to end the show, but I'd like to thank you, Amy, so much for coming on and letting us interview you and being our first guest on here on this show, Paranormal Ghost. Yes, on Paranormal Ghost Radio. It was wonderful talking to you and getting to know you and about you and stuff, and about some of your experiences. But before we go, is there any last words or anything you'd like to say to anyone out there that might be a fan of the paranormal, or anything that you'd just like to say to the people?
Basically, stay open-minded and smile. That's all I got.
I love that. That is so cool. That is so cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is Gary from the Fall River Paranormal Society, and our website is www.fallriverparanormal.com.
Alright, and yes, and again, I'm Jeremiah from Investigators of the Unknown, and just to let everyone know and remind you again, Gary and I, we're not just good friends and buddies and colleagues in the paranormal, but we had come together to show our support in para community and unity, and to show how it works. We're coming together and working together, even if it's on a side projects such as this.
Yeah, you can move mountains.
Yes. So again, you know, we are big supporters in the para community and unity, and so is our friend Amy Jo here from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who, as you heard her say earlier, she's a floater or a free rancher. She works with multiple teams and multiple groups, which is good because that's also all part of the paranormal community and unity, which shows that she's also very involved in that, also just as Gary and I are.
And
Yay!
Amy, we'd like to thank you for coming on again, coming on our show, and as we were saying earlier, we got to do this again real soon. And we'd like to know if you'd like to say happy ghost hunting for us.
Happy ghost hunting!
Alright, so yes, so see you next time on Paranormal Ghost Radio.